Hey, yeah, you're good.
All right. Well, anyhow, cherry picking silver bars for Dummies. I'm gonna try to stop walking in front of the light too. That's all. But anyhow, basically what I noticed is when people are learning, they sometimes get discouraged because they're learning. They put in hours and hours and hours of effort reading books, learning, and then they get out there and they put in the legwork. They look at their steps. They walk 10, 15,000 steps out there, and they see some bars, but they're confused, and they don't know if they bought a $20 bar or $40 bar, and they're trying to figure it out. So I say, well, you got to know certain math. They say, well, but there's so many bars. Well, there are 5, 10, 20,000 bars. How do I learn them all? Say, well, that's hard, but eventually you're going to just absorb it. You know, eventually all of us within reason are smart enough to absorb a lot of information, just not all at the same time. So you need a head start where you don't get discouraged sometimes. Plus, even the best of us can always use a helper or cliff notes or a little cheat sheet, so to speak. And so what my objective is, let's say I lay down 1,000 or 5,000 art bars face down. You can't see the front. And I said $50, $60 a piece. He'll say, let's say you guys have $50 a piece, $55, $60 a piece to spend on a bar, but that's kind of hard to do blind, man. I mean, it might be a Hamilton Met Delta Queen worth $26, right? So I want to show you basically, I'm going to go through different reverse types, the reverses. Some are from the same mint, like Great House Mint has a couple different reverses and so forth, so on. And a few slight variations, but with the one I'm going to show you, you'll have a good idea. And with these few reverses, you could feel confident in walking in and picking out bars face down and knowing that you have, for the most part, 95, 99% of them are really good bars, including some $700, $800, $900 an ounce bars. Okay, that would fit in these categories. Including some $1,500 and $2,000 and $3,000 bars that fit into these categories per ounce of silver. Okay? So anyhow, that's what my objective is. I hope somebody finds something really cool. And if somebody finds something really cool with this, I would like to see a picture of it because I want to give you a high five when I see it. You know what I mean? So that's what my objective is. So I want to go through this. And I think I need to hit the button here. Boom, there we go. All right. So first off, we'll just start with some of the things that most people, when you start out, know about, which is Johnson Matthey. Johnson Matthey is one of the better brands. They were Assayer, Refiner, and so forth back in the day. I think they were bought out by Asahi or something like that over the years, a few years back. But anyways, what you're looking for them is if you see this, I think I actually had, oops. Sorry about that. Here we go. This reverse right here is on a lot of bars, okay? A lot of the Johnson Matthey bars. Some of those have blank backs. Some of them have repeaters where it just has the Johnson JM going across like that. Those are generally cheaper bars, okay? A lot of different versions. But if you see this Johnson Matthey or any Johnson Matthey and it has a commercial to the other side, something like a bank, this Good Fortune, this one, TD Bank, Crown Therapeutic, anything commercial at all, it's worth at least 50, 60, 80 bucks. This bar is worth about $2,500. Only known example at this point in time. This one could easily go 400, 500, 600, but it has extra strength even higher. This 200, 300, pretty easy nowadays. Even the little 1 gram or 2, some of them will go crazy high on this. But any Johnson Matthey that has a commercial type reverse or anything like that, you're going to do good on it. This also, anything like that has a bank or something pretty impressive on it, gets worth a good bit of money. Even if it's some of the others, like a Republic Bank New York, that would be a lower, but it'd still be worth $50 or so, okay? So you're still doing okay, but anything, commercial or specialty obverses or reverses, however you want to look at it. But when you see Johnson Matthey, if it has a commercial or specialty, it's worth. Somebody said, hey, blind, will you pay $60 for it? Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so that's what you look at with that. Here's a couple more examples. That would be obviously a specialty reverse. There's 4 in that series, actually. Those can run anywhere from about 125 to 160 wholesale, and anywhere from about 180 to about 250 retail. If you had the whole full set, I just sold a full set of the 4 non-matching serial numbers. I've never seen a full match serial number set. I don't think they made them. Somebody said they might have made a few for some of the vendors or special people, but not too many. With the little case and the paperwork, about $1,500 for the 4 bows with that. This one, it can, $400 or $500 sometimes, maybe $300. But again, specialty reverse and or commercial. Johnson Matthews. Same thing goes for Engelhard, another company. They were bought out by BASF some years back, but they were around from, I guess, the late 60s, early 70s, possibly through, some years back, probably 10, 12 years ago, give or take, maybe 15. But same thing goes with them. Specialized or commercial reverses you are good with. Okay, this side, a lot of different reverses here, or obverses as you want to call them, so to speak. Here I call it a reverse on its own as its own piece. I call it an obverse, but they switch roles. But whether it's this reverse, or the other 20 reverses that they have, it doesn't matter. It will say Engelhard or have the little E somewhere on it. If you see an Engelhard piece, even if it's just with the E on it, like that, okay, and it's a commercial or specialty, it's going to be worth some money. Probably $200, $300, same for that or more. But if somebody said blind, would you pay 50 or 60 as a cherry picker? Yeah, you would play that. I'd pay that for any of those. Doesn't matter. For most of them, I'd feel even higher. But you wouldn't want to necessarily throw that number out there unless you had to. You know what I mean? Okay, with that, and I think I have, a few more examples. That's another one of theirs, and another one. As I said, there's a lot of different ones, but again, you can tell it's Engelhard. Okay, but again, here. This is a lower one. Then you have some sub-varieties too with different size, like a few different varieties. There's at least 2 or 3 different varieties, maybe a couple more with the TD, like that. Little differences in the size of the fonts, the thicknesses, and stuff like that. That happens due to die cracks, die breaks, and just time sometimes. So anyhow, again, specialty and or commercial. So you're looking for Engelhard reverses, you're looking for Johnson Matthey pieces, with commercial or specialty pieces to cherry pick, okay? All the other ones are lower end. Just don't worry about them till you know them. But you're gonna learn them pretty easy after you find 1 or 2 of these and get a little bit more excited, okay? Then you can learn more. Next one of my favorite mints, Ed Lance, founder of Isaac. Actually, Mackenzie here, he got a bunch of stuff made, had no plan on selling them. He just wanted stuff made because he liked designs himself and thought, hey, I'd like to have that bar made. So he got these benches done. They were just sitting in boxes at his house and had no plan to sell them, had no idea how to do it. Ivan Rash told me he went over and talked to him and was thinking about buying some. Ed went over and pretty much bought 95% of every one of them at one time. So Ed Lance distributed and or sold almost all of these over the years back in the day. Mackenzie, he did sell them all, he just sold them to Ed. So that's what that happened. And see these beautiful, beautiful hands in this picture. Is not my beautiful wife here, but that is our trusted trustee, Lacey Anderson, the late Dwayne Spielman's daughter, taking that picture, okay? She's actually a trustee for it now. That's her taking a picture. That's off of one of her eBay listings. I had to snag it because I forgot to take a picture of that before I left the house. But that's Lacey there taking the picture. But that is the more simple. So you can see that as a Green Country Mint reverse. They also did some of theirs with a completely blank reverse. Hamilton Mint struck these, so they are that odd size, like the Hamilton Mint Norman Rockwells and so forth. Okay, but they did do a blank reverse. You have to learn those at some other time, but those are all worth a good bit of money as well. It's a little bit hard to differentiate who made them, okay? But these are the 2 reverses that will stand out. This is one of my favorite reverses of all time. That looks like an obverse, that is a reverse. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. I mean, just goes a long way to making a nice piece when the obverse and reverse are both fine looking pieces. But anyhow, Green Country Mint is a prime example of really top quality bars. It's one of the most sought after vintage mints, period. Okay. This is from the Archie Kidd guidebook. This is the Green Country Mint area. I did leave a couple pages out here and there because I didn't know if we were going to have kids. Like one of the Worldwide Mint pages had Marilyn Monroe with the nude on, so I left a few pages out that I could have put, but didn't want to do that on everything. But again, different reverse types, different varieties, and so forth. Obviously, if you've seen the Elvis, you would see that reverse. This one has a blank reverse view. Okay. This is one of the rarest bars, period. Visitation, I have one. I've never seen another. The only one I've ever seen other than that could have been the same one I have. It was a picture that's on the internet. Okay, who knows? That is a rare bar right there. That's a vintage 50 Darwin. That's about a $500 bar. But dogs boxing, dogs playing pool, and dogs playing poker, those three are the main keys here. Then that, other than that, other than these two, but then that, and that, okay? And then the Bigfoot, vintage 50, okay? And then the signature Ellis, of course. But these right here can easily go $300 to $500 a piece. That one, and that one. This one can even go higher. But just to be able to say, if you ever get one of these, that is 1.5 ounces, it's Elvis, and his nose is so high relief, you have to be careful or you will crush it and he will have a big whoop on his nose. So be careful with that. Anyhow, Green Country Mint is a fantastic mint. They are shaped and sized like the Hamilton Mint Rockwells. And with those two pieces, the cheapest piece here, in my opinion, would probably be either the Cosmic Consciousness or possibly one of the Elvises, and they would be in the $85 to $95 range, and that's probably wholesale, okay? So if you're cherry picking any of these from the reverse, you will do well. You will do well as a business person or as a collector, okay? So that will be a good day when you find even one of those. Okay. Death Valley Mint. Will Rossman, he's a collector, a dealer. He was one of the first two graders with Annex, and he's the guy that designed that white slab, that original white slab for Annex. He was also Isaac's second president, right behind our charter president and founder, Ed Lance. I asked Will because I was on the Conecuh, the Aircoin website, and I was looking at these stuff. I talked to Ken Potter and a few other people. And the air collector guy, the Lonesome John Devine, he's historical, he's famous. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. He traveled from up north, down across, went across Death Valley, and they tell a lot of the story in his little bio, because he passed away some years back on there. And they mentioned about some of the things he did. He met Dwayne Spillman at the Conecuh Valley Coin Club in California when he moved out there. And so forth, so on. It turns out, according to Will and other people, the Crown Mint Beauties, both sets of 12 that Lonesome John Devine actually had made, and he was Death Valley Mint. Did not know that until about a year ago when I asked Will. I said, Will, I was reading this, and was he that? He said, of course he was. You didn't know that? Everybody knew that. I said, no, Will. You and your buddies knew that back in the old days. None of us knew that now. So, but anyhow, Lonesome John Devine, according to the old timers, was Death Valley Mint, which, according to that, think about that, Conecuh Valley Coin Club sure put out some people, didn't it? Between Dwaynesville and him. So Death Valley Mint, if you see that reverse, there are a couple other little variety reverses on a couple lesser bars, but if you see this, you're looking at the current event series, you're looking at some of the other bars like the Republican and Democrat and so forth. And those are expensive bars, wholesale $65 to $80, and retail you're looking at anywhere from about $100 to $250, $300, depending on which bar it is. Okay, so that is a good cherry pick, obviously. If you can turn 30, 40, $50 into a couple hundred, I take that all day long every day. So anyway, with that in mind, one of the nicest sets that people really, really enjoy collecting is the current event series from back in the 70s. That is the Death Valley Mint. That reverse I just showed you is on the reverse of all of these and those three. On these adult bars, which as you can see, they're really risque. But most of you have probably seen a lot of them, but again, we're not going to show the pictures of them just in case the kids show that. You guys haven't seen them, I'll show them to you guys sometime. Or most of them. Love is Mobile Stud, Lover is Boy, Candy, Let's Play Dog and Canoe, Everyman's Fantasy, and then a reverse variety of that. But anyway, all of these that are shown have that reverse. I just shown you. These again, current event series, 75 wholesale, 65 to 85 wholesale, and going from 100 to 165, depending on which one. This one's harder. This one's harder. The one with D.B. Cooper jumping out of the airplane is one of the most popular. That one can hit 160 to 200. Okay, but because people that D.B. Cooper jumping out with all the money, plus, some years back, they recovered some of that money. It was certified or verified by one of the grading places or whatever, and some of that came on market, and that boosted a little bit too because they got a little bit more interest. But a lot of real popular, cool pieces there, and these two, which are just cute bars. They're not the mean-spirited stuff people do nowadays, but more the old satire comics of the old days, And then this piece is actually the rarest piece, and it's Nativity. You can't see it here, but you see Jesus, Mary, baby Jesus, whatnot, Nativity. That's a vintage 300. It's hard to see from that bar, but that bar right there, even though you wouldn't think it, it can hit 250. It can hit 250 or 300 even for that one because the vintage of the mint and the whole 9 yards. It's a kind of a key. It really is. I mean, not very keys, but that's a key. Okay. And then one of my mentors, Archie Kidd, the guy that publisher with the guy books. Him and Tom Grayhouse, and Tom Grayhouse originally was the first one, and then they went together, he published it, and then kind of transferred hands over here. I think Tom sold the rights to Archie. But this was a simple, this thing, I'll tell you about that real quick too. But this is the simple reverse. That's California, New Jersey. That's New Jersey right there. And I'll tell you how I know that in a moment. But California, New Jersey, and Florida had that reverse, and then the Barkeeper Club, the Peacock canceled, Siamese Cat canceled, had this reverse, which is Bluegrass Mint, Kentucky. Archie Kidd passed away 2011, 12, I forgot exactly, it was right there at the border. COPD, to a mentor of mine out of Kentucky. Beautiful, beautiful man, just nice person, good person. One of the last things he said to me was, I don't know if I'm going to be around much longer, but my fate's already sealed in the blood of Christ. I'm okay. So you feel okay with God, it feels that way about it, but it's still sad, you know what I mean? So that, though, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I wrote an article about it because Archie and I emailed back and forth about it. He even knew the article because we put it in together, kind of.
Stop recording.
That was a later bar, and the first couple, he had the mint, put the serial numbers on, but then this one was a little different vintage, and a little less vintage, and some of the people that had got bars before, he said, I'll skip around, and you can match up your number on this issue. And the mint didn't want to skip around, so he talked to the guy and said, oh yeah, I do the serial number. But you know how if any of us just got one of the little things back in there, and we wanted to scribble a serial number on our tools or put our initials on our Craftsman tools? That's what this guy was talking about. He wasn't a professional. So Archie drops all the bars off of the New Jersey piece. All the New Jersey ones have that scribble on it like that. So he said, he took it, got it, and we got it back. He said, oh my. But he said it would have cost more because there's nothing you could have done. He would have had to get them all melted and redone. And he said he got very few complaints, honestly. But he said, this was right when he was passing away a couple months before. He said, if I live, he was like 71 or 72. He said, if I live to be like 172 years old, that will still bother me. But it was kind of funny, but it's funny in a kind of sad way but glad it worked out for him, you know. But I think in the long run, now it's a conversation and a topic and an extra thing that makes people even like the bar more, honestly. But back then it was probably a little bit wacky. It sure would have been nicer if it was a nice crisp one. But those are the main two reverses there, and they're, so, and let me show you from the books, from the Archie Kidd book. And right here it says, all bars struck for and distributed by J. Archie Kidd, Bluegrass Mint. And that is a great house reverse with he and Tom, as I said. So, and there's that reverse and then that reverse. Bar collectors, the canceled, that is where they canceled the died and struck bar, same with that. Same with that, same with that. Those are canceled varieties. These, again, that would be like 60 to 70 wholesale. That would be about 150 wholesale. About 60, 70 wholesale. That would be about 150 wholesale. That would be about 75 to 90 wholesale. That would be about 65 to 85 wholesale. That would be about 100 to 110 wholesale. That would be about 100 to 100 to 140 to 160 wholesale. That would be about the same, the tad bit less wholesale. And that one, yeah, in between. That one also has a couple other varieties, like a gold plated, a couple things. Don't quite know. Think they're bootlegs. Archie said he doesn't recall having them made when he was alive. Tommy Grenada BT Mint has a couple of them weird varieties. So not quite sure about that. There was a little bit of fishy stuff that went on at a few minutes here and there with some varieties, okay? So that's those two reverses. So we do few reverses now. Those reverses all are really nice. Here, this is a Seattle bar. And there's a lot of collectors around there, and they all like them Seattle bars. This was the Harvey Chew. My understanding is he's still alive. He lives in the Seattle area. He used to be an Isaac member until a couple of years ago. I don't know how to get in touch with him. I never spoke to him. Harvey Chew. My understanding he's an accountant, a CPA or an accountant, so that makes him a fantastic guy, I'm sure, according to Mike over here. But I believe him. But anyhow, this, a couple varieties, but they're all real close. This middle part and the boldness and this and that, a little bit different, but you can tell it's Silvermont. So I just showed you the one, but they're real similar. Just this is a little bit more bold, a little less bold, that kind of stuff. But if you remember this reverse, almost every bar they did is a freaking awesome bar. I mean, worldwide mint, the same people did the Coca-Cola ingots and the later Great House ingots and a lot of fantastic stuff struck these. And I'm gonna get to them and show you some more, but some fantastic pieces. He had a good design on it. These are from the guy reverses.
320.
Remember, inverted reverse versus the other reverse, which in ours we have a reverse and an inverted. But what we call an inverted would be what coin people would call normal. What we call normal would be what coin people call medallion reverse, right? So that's that different terminology there, okay? But when you're looking at this, think about this. You have the 1980 Olympics. You have the hockey, the U.S. hockey team that Linda Ferratino or something like that. I can't pronounce her name. Sorry about that. Sorry to Linda's family for that butchering of her name. But anyhow, Mount St. Helens, the canceled, etc. A few other, another Olympic bar. And then you have the Season of Magic, Magic Johnson, which is a nice little white guy with a little, I don't know how that's Magic Johnson, but anyhow, it's a Season of Magic. It's supposed to be the Lakers, but it's a white guy. And then that and that, I think, are flip-flopped in places, so that doesn't really represent those. The pictures get mixed up. But anyways, the Space Shuttle series, a really great series. And then Larry Bird, that's a big-time bar, and that is Princess Diana. And it used to be the prince. He is now the king of England. Minted 60 and minted 60. These are crazy rare, okay? This one and these two are half the Washington $50 and a couple. This they actually messed up because on the bottom where it tells about the engraver, they actually goofed up and put the wrong one, had to restripe it. And so we went there. But anyhow, these right here all are good bars. Anywhere from approximately $90 to about $1,000 to $1,200. Nothing I see there is less than that. So you would do really well if you see a Silvermont board, okay? So those are all nice things. This, I Lost Mine on Black Monday, is a play that is a continuation of the Success Silver series with the hobos. I made mine in silver art bars, I made mine in gold, and I made mine in stocks and bonds. Then they were done by Success Silver, struck by Zeiser back in the 70s. Harvey had the I Lost Mine on Black Monday as like a tribute and going on with that series, but not related to the series at all. Okay, they were fantastic there. That is actually a Greathouse bar. Somehow, Harvey and Tom Greathouse, I think, if I had to guess, I would be willing to bet like $3, not a whole bunch of money, that Harvey may own the Greathouse reverses, okay, because he actually was using them, and a few across also things that make me think that, but I've never had the opportunity to find out. Okay. All right. This one, you're not going to have to look for too many bars. It's going to be nice and simple. You're going to see Chocolate Town USA. When you think Chocolate Town, what do you think? Chocolate,
Hershey.
chocolate?
Reese's.
Hershey peanut.
Hershey. They did 6 bars. I couldn't find all my pictures. They did 6 different ones. They did Special Dark Almonds. They did the Hershey. They did Mr. Goodbar. They did Reese's, and they did Crackle. Okay. They did them in proof and enamel. They had cases. They had a case like capital plastic almost, and they were in them. They were issued as matched serial numbers. These can go anywhere from $200 to $500 a piece. These can go anywhere from about $350 to $600 a piece. And if you see that Trinity Mint, it will. I've never seen anything else Trinity Mint, anything else with that Chocolate Town USA other than these bars. So if you see those, that's what they are. Okay. And these are good bars. They're beautiful. These are not enameled to the quality that Frank or Ike Wendy or David Hill or some of the people do nowadays, but as you see, if you look in a lot of detail, it isn't perfect like some of the stuff is nowadays, but think back in the day, less technology and so forth, and so on. But those are fantastic bars, and just they're really flexible. The new 1 gram or 1/10 that you see lately have no relation. Those are made nowadays and they're unauthorized. Neat little pieces, but they are unauthorized. These could have been unauthorized as well. I don't know about that, but the ones definitely that are now are unauthorized by Hershey. But I don't think they got cease and desist letter or nothing, because they're just some little 1 grammers or whatever for fun, so it is what it is. But they're nice, so if you get a chance to get a couple with them, pick them up, they're cheap. Okay? This is one that people miss out a lot, man. This is one that even the smartest collectors can make a lot of money on. When you look at Western Mint, they were out of Canada. They're in the back of the 5th edition guidebook in the forward section. But Western Mint, that's Western Mint. But at the top it says they were official distributors, this, that, from Johnson Matthey in Canada. And when you start looking at some of their bars, you see the Western Mint, they have a few different versions, but anywhere on it, if you see the Johnson Matthey and Mallory, that's early Johnson Matthey before Mallory got out of it, that own it, and it can be a few different ones, different places. But if it has that, it makes it worth more money. Some of the animals, some of that, like Save the Whale, and a few of the ones on there, I'll show you some pictures in a minute, extremely expensive, $400, $500, $600, $700, okay? Some of the ones that are very similar, even in the same series, that don't have that on it. Everything else is the same series, everything, but they just left that out, $50, $60, instead of $500. That little mark makes a big difference, okay? Sometimes it's there. See, that one don't have a mark at all. Some of them just plain don't, right? Some of them don't at all. Even in some of the series, that one right there, the whale, very expensive. That one could go really high. I think I've seen one go right around 600. A few other ones extremely rare. All these animals and all the flowers are rare and expensive. Not as expensive if it doesn't have the JMM, but they're still expensive. But the rest of it, if there's no JMM, it just doesn't, it's not there, okay? It's okay, they're decent. It might be $40, $50, $60, $70 bars, but nothing you can really call a cherry pick, if that makes sense, okay? So that's what you're looking for. But remember this one, Save the Whales, the salmon, and a few of them extremely high, okay? Extremely. So always keep an eye on them. These, honestly, 2 different varieties of the electric one, not that popular. I paid a good bit of money for a couple of them a couple times, and you know what? Just not that popular. Nice enough bars. 2 slightly different variations. See that little box versus not. But not that popular for some reason. Pretty bars, though. All right, Music City Mint. If you look at this back, it looks an awful lot like the Worldwide Mint ones that were on a few other ones and so forth. They just say Worldwide Mint, etc. And this little thing, instead of the WWM Mint mark, they have the Music Mint. That's technically their Mint mark, but so forth. So with Music City Mint, Nashville, they did a series. There are a few that aren't in the book. and don't know if they made them in silver. That might be why they are in the book. Maybe they just did them in bronzes, because Walter Thomas has a few that are bronze strikes of different artists that weren't actually in the book, but you don't have them in silver, so we're thinking maybe they weren't included because they maybe didn't do silver of a few of them. Okay? But with that in mind, great set. Ryman Auditorium, it's a vintage 100. Book value back in the day, 1970, 1980. This book was from 1991. Price was like $80, 95 plus spot. So even back then, that was expensive book. These generally go about $150 now. Retail, you might, if you find one, get one wholesale for $80 to $120. Eddie Arnold, not quite as expensive. Mel Tillis, not quite as expensive. On wholesale, $50 to $75. Retail, $90 to $120 probably on Mel and Eddie. And the same with Roy Acuff to a point. Roy Acuff might run $15 more than them two. But then you end up with Hank Porter, Lynn Anderson, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, Kitty Wells, all of them, they are up there, okay? The keys being Dolly Parton, Kitty Wells, Jerry Reed, and Marty Robbins, okay? Jerry Reed and Marty Robbins have gotten more popular in the last 10 years, okay? Kitty Wells, vintage 100, that is freaking hard though. Kitty Wells is difficult. Dottie West is a vintage 10. Okay, Dottie West is the key, and the Dolly with this reverse is the key. But again, we're talking about cherry picking. I just want to point that out. But this one with that reverse, if this has the other reverse, it's still a $253 bar. But if it has this reverse, it's more like an $800 to $1,000 bar. Okay, this one, Dottie West, vintage 10 period. If somebody needs that and they have the whole set, who knows what they would pay? You just don't know. It depends on the person. But if I had the whole set, which I do, minus Dottie, I'd probably go $500-600 for it. Just me. And I don't even really particularly like country music that much. So that's where that is. But anyhow, very, very nice set. But there are a couple artists that are in the bronzes that Walter has that are not shown here, but we never seen them in silver, so not quite sure what happened there. And then one of my favorite bands, Great House Production. We were just talking about Tom Greathouse. And Tom and Nancy Greathouse, right there. You see the TRG, that's Tom or whatever his middle name was, or Greathouse and Nancy, whatever. Greathouse, you'll see that on their bars. And even on the front of the 3 USSC, United States Silver Corp bars, the 3 birds, Bluebird of Happiness, Lovebirds of Nature, and Dove of Peace. On the front, on the obverse of that, you will see their initials. On the front of that one, even though United States Silver Corp struck those for them. They use 5 striking mints. They use United States Silver Corp, they use Hamilton Mint for a couple more, they use Mint of America, Zeiser Manufacturing, and Worldwide Mint. Type 7 reverse, that's this. That was what was generally used on the Mint of America pieces. And this was the nice reverse. The Great House reverse that was used on the Worldwide Mint ones, okay? Either one of them reverses, you're in pretty good shape. If you find this reverse on a bar, and you say, Steve, you said about cherry pick it's worth $50 or more, and you flip that one over and it's the bicentennial bar, it looks like the Eagle, and it's only worth $42, I'm sorry about that one. But that's the one example of that bar that's just kind of a piece of garbage. But it is what it is. If you get that one, I'm so sorry. But if you get that one, you're going to make so much off the other ones, you're going to not worry about the $8 you lost on that one. You know what I mean? If you find that reverse with the bicentennial Eagle on it, but that's technically wasn't the correct reverse anyway. They used the wrong reverse, so it's pretty rare. They expect maybe 50 or 100 by the show off for that reverse. So it's pretty rare, but still, people aren't as enthused about the bicentennial nowadays as they were back when we were younger, you know? But any of those reverses are fantastic bars, regardless. And these are some of the Great House bars. You go from, that's a Zeiser manufacturing bar. That has a plain reverse. That does not have one of those reverse. That is a Hamilton Mint shaped like those Green Country Mint ones that don't fit normal capsules. These are some Moto Mint of America bars. They have that other reverse, the simple one, type 7. And then again, Hamilton, a few. These are double-sided. Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. That's opposite. One on one side, one on the other. So that's the double obverse bar. And then you have all of these over here. See, there's one right there. That's a Snoopy and Charlie Brown, the regular one. That $500. And then as you get later on, they even get more expensive. But a lot of times they do progress. Disneyland, that, John Wayne, Donald Duck, all that stuff, extremely expensive with some of that. Cool Mania, I don't understand. It said, let's remember something about Cool Mania, and it says drive 55 under it. Don't know why driving 55 miles an hour has anything to do with Cool Mania, but somebody will probably let me know one day. But anyhow, there's also some bootlegs that Worldwide Mint did. Archie and myself were looking into it back in the day before he passed away. He asked Tom Greathouse. Tom said, no, they are not official. Never put his finger on who did it. But while some of his dies were at Worldwide Mint, and I think the name's Paul, if I'm not mistaken, but something fishy went on, and some blank back sterling filled ingots, the sterling planches, I say sterling silver filled on them. The guy must have grabbed a whole handful of them, grabbed a whole handful of different dyes, because he threw them in and didn't know it, and then struck somebody. He didn't have the reverse dyes, so they have the obverses, but they have a blank reverse on a sterling silver filled planchet, okay? Those are extremely rare. If you ever find one of them, you can't cherry pick that, but by knowing about it, if you see a great house that has a sterling filled rim on it and a blank back, it is freaking rare. And it could be gold plate or it could be not gold plate, okay? So if you find one of them, it's rare. I know of George Burns that way. I know of Pinocchio that way, and Joy to the World that way, and a couple others. Can't remember what they are right now, but a couple others. Very, very, very upland bars and very nice bars. Beautiful pieces. And then you start getting into the more expensive, some of these. Peter Pan, that's Hunt. When Hunt Brothers, when silver moves, that's Joy to the World. Actually, Joy to the World here I have a 5-piece set. I have the silver. I have the silver canceled, both authorized Great House production pieces. And I have the bronze, authorized Great House production piece. Then I have the bootleg, silver, with blank back sterling silver, and I have the gold plated sterling silver, blank back. But to have all 5, that's a cool set. I have the 2 bootlegs and the 3 originals, but I have the serial number 1 of the 2 bootlegs and the serial number 1s of all 3 of the others, and I got the 5 pieces from 4 different people. That's just crazy. And I didn't even know the serial numbers when I bought them. So that was just random chance that I acquired them like that. But yeah, again, that is one, both of them that do have that blank back situation on some bars, which is a pretty cool thing. Then when you get down to here, some of the people like Guy Lombardo, you got people like Katharine Hepburn, Grace Kelly. Unfortunately, some younger people, 35, 40-year-old people, they don't remember who those people were. So those have affected the cost of some of those, and they've actually dropped a little bit in the last 5, 10 years. They're still $150, $250 bars, but they're not $400, $500 bars like they were 15 years ago, 20 years ago, okay? But these are Dumbo, Snow White, all of these. Those are high-end. And $400 or $500. I sold one of them like a decade ago for $650. Some of these go high. Some of these go $700, $800, $1,000 for some of these. Okay? These are hard bars. I mean, we're talking down here vintage 44, vintage 50, vintage 65, vintage 38, vintage 41, 40, 75, 41, 34, 33, vintage 33 Reagan. Okay. Very, very, very hard to get this stuff. Donald Duck, that one's vintage 75, still extremely rare. But Zorro, some of these you're looking at vintage 40, 41, 39, 38 across here. Extremely rare. I mean, that stuff's expensive, hard to find stuff. And just beautiful pieces too, beautiful pieces. But those are important pieces in the hobby. American Mint. Apparently not a mint. Pseudo mint. Just like so many are. CMG Mint, Chris Garner, our historian, right? He doesn't have a press. He gets other mints to make. But they call themselves mints. They're pseudo mint, really. But American Mint, we always thought they were mints. I thought they were. But in the guidebook, I started looking at it, and I asked around. It says that they were struck by United States Silver Corp for American Mint. So I guess most, if not all, were struck for American Mint by United States Silver Corp. And when United States Silver Corp didn't have presses and were having Zeiser do some of theirs, I guess they had subcontractors or something. I'm not quite sure how that worked. But American Mint, a few varieties on the reverses, plus, but all of them you can tell are American Mint. So even if it has a different reverse that says American Mint, though, you're good, okay? So you can have American Mint a few different ways. Yeah, American Mint, etc. But that one, $150 to $250 bar. That one's about $70 to $110, even though it's a Christmas bar, they cancel higher. That one, yeah, you're still doing okay at 75 to 100. Rock City, it can go up there anywhere from 150 to 200. Homestead, middle 100, 150 to 220. These two here, including this, if you find the air, can go even higher. These can go higher. CB, you can get around 250. Then these can go kind of middle. They're okay. But see this one look awful similar. But see this one on the lunar module, you see it had the leg there, and that one they left the leg off. So that's an error. Okay, and then that's just kind of cool. That's the Alaska pipeline. And remember the old thing where over in Amsterdam, wherever, they'd have the person, they stick their finger in the dike to keep the water from coming through? They did a play on that. The little Eskimo has his finger stuck in the oil pipeline to keep the oil from spilling. So that's a cool little bar. And then this Deer Santa, that's a big time bar. People like that. That's $200, $250 bar. And it says, the United States Silver Corp mentioned 100 of the Deer Santa bars. They were never redeemed by the American Mint. The USA BC, that was a club back in the day, bought the 100 bars from USSC and resold them to its members on a top bid basis with a minimum bid of $9.68 each. Okay, so that tells me that American Mint didn't mint them. All right? So anyhow, all fantastic bars, minus that one and whatever, a little bit, but still great bars. Okay? And well worth the money, did we do? And the Mint. Remember a little bit earlier when I showed the Green Country Mint bar, I said that was Lacey Anderson, Dwayne Spillman's daughter. Dwayne Spillman was the Mint. Okay? The Mint coin shop out of, I think it was called Canoga Park, California, Winnetka, California, back there over near Yosemite Valley. Okay? And this is one of the, that is not a trademark, that's the fancy TM one. And you also see that on some other bars, and it's set up almost where it looks like a trademark, like on this one, you'll see a TM. It looks like a trademark thing, but that's the Mint. And this is his wide form sports reverse. It has a lot of sports bars, and this is a regular reverse he had. He had a couple bars that just didn't, like the Elvis and a few things like that, had kind of plain with just a serial number on, and a few rare bars, like the Dodgers, Big Brew Replica, that's $600-$700 bar. Just pretty much a blank bag. Some of them are confusing, but if you see the Mint, you got a pretty dang good bar. If you see this, you do have a good bar. If you see something that looks similar to this, but it's not, that says Sports World on it, and it has a TM over here, a little SM over here. All that was is that fella earlier from the Silver Mines that did the space show and all that cool stuff, Harvey Chew, he was the Silver Mines. See, after about 10, 12 years of doing this series, which he did whoever won the NFL, whoever won the NBA, whoever won the NHL, the main four sports, he did them every year from 1979 to 1995. And I think right around 89, 90, 91, Harvey must have called him and said, hey, Dwayne, can I get in on these last some of them? So to keep it separated, they came up with a new reverse. So that same series, when Harvey got brought in, they came out with, instead of the Wild World of Sports, they came up with the combo reverse, the Sports World reverse. So I left that off for this purpose, but that is also something you can look for, because all of those are really sweet too, okay? Those are the sports books, okay? But those are the two main ones you need to look for. From there, you have the Mint bars. Earlier when I was talking about that, I mentioned the Pete Rose already. That's that Pete Rose bar I mentioned right there. That's the Dodgers bar I just mentioned with the blank reverse, okay? Various bars, there's that one, that blank reverse, and the Elvis one, right? But anyhow, Sam and all these, just fantastic bars. I mean, we're talking anywhere from about $90 all the way up to over $1,000. Okay? Just some really, really, really good stuff. I'm not sure what this literary award is. If somebody could remind me to ask Ed if he remembers what went on here, I'd appreciate it. He may know. And there's some more in the collection. I didn't have my 6th edition, so I don't have any colored pages, but I do have an example in a moment of one of the enamels, because a lot of these, almost all these, were issued in proof and also in enamel. Okay? My understanding, he had Crown Mint back in the day do some of the enamel, and there was also an older Oriental man that he did a lot of his enamel, and also Mr. Manley. He was a big dealer back in the day, a lot of his enamel. Scott and or Sean Manley, one of Mr. Manley's sons, who they're dealers now, and I forgot which one told me, but said he remembered when he was like a teenager going with his dad and picking up and dropping off bars over at that guy's place to be enameled. And that's where almost all those enamel rarity mints Disney pieces came from. You see the round Disney pieces and they're enamel. Mr. Manley's the one that got most of their enamel and had mintages done aftermarket through that Oriental mint. So that's where that came from, almost all of it. So anyhow, very fine. This one here, the Chicago Bears, that's a big time key one. That's super, super expensive compared to other sports bars, other than the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Pete Rose. Okay. And obviously you have the Washington, not so much Redskins anymore bar, and those are getting more popular because people that are watching Redskins fans, now they change their name, that's starting to pick up because people want to get the Redskins bar, you know what I mean? So that is a bar that you can see now, and you can still get it on yesterday's pricing. Even if it's yesterday's retail pricing, you will do good, okay? And that's an example of one of the enamels. They did that in proof and enamel. That right there is about $200 to $235 bar for 1 ounce. Pretty nice, pretty bar, as you can see back in the day. Not quite as perfect on the enameling as they are now, but very, very attractive. And you're not going to see that much detail when something is this large. Okay, the LA County Fair, nice and simple to the point. Looking for that, not so much this. United States Silver Corps, American Gold and Silver, and a couple others did them over the years. Series went from 1974 to 1995, and all of them are good bars. There's a couple canceled, a couple harder ones. You look at anything from about $70 to $550, $600, depending on what piece it is. Okay, 1994 is not a bar. 1994 is a round, but again, you will see LA County Fair official souvenir on the back of it. LA County Fair 1994 round is worth about $500 to $600. Only seen, I've had one. Ken Pancal has one, and Dan Measley has one. I've never heard of another one that anybody's actually had. Mine, I don't have anymore. Mike Dabrowski got it from me. So, but he needs a 1993 if anybody has one. So if anybody has 1993 LA County Fair, get in touch with Mike. So from there, we have, like I said, American Gold, United States Silver Corps, slightly, but you can see right there what you need to see. Okay, what you need to see. The different designs, you're looking for the pig if you have that side, but in general, that whole series, nice bars, and people love to collect that series. It's just a fun series. It has 2 canceled vintage 10s, 1974 in there. It has those 2 there. So the base set isn't that hard. Other than 94 and 95, they get hard. 95 is a bar. Don't know why 94 is around. But those couple pieces, that, and then the 2 non-serialized varieties, 78 and 79, and then the 1988 enamel. Okay, those are the varieties. Oh yeah, and then the gold plated for the 50th anniversary down here in 70, whatever it was, 8 or 79. I forgot what the 50th anniversary was. But that one. But those are the varieties. But the base set, not that difficult other than those 1 or 2. And not crazy expensive other than a few. Start getting a couple of varieties, you get up there in price. But again, remember those 4 varieties and the enamel that are worth so much money, they're so hard, they also have that reverse. So if you cherry pick it, they might be on the other side, right? And then Coca-Cola bars. Coca-Cola bars, well, I mean, go backwards, one slide, I accidentally hit the button. Coca-Cola bars generally have a reverse or obverse, whatever you want to call it. It looks kind of like this. It's 75. Some are look, obviously, some of this is different because that tells where it's from or whatnot. And it might be tweaked. Some have a little something here, a little something here. But all generally, you'll know if it's a Coca-Cola in here, okay? All over pretty good. Atlanta, Chattanooga, Louisville. Atlanta, Chattanooga, Louisville, and Nashville. Higher mintage, lower end, okay? Still 40, 50 bucks a piece, pretty easy, okay? Then you get up into the $70 to $90 range. Then you get up into the $120, $180 range. Then you get $250, $500 range. Then you get up $1,000 range, $2,000 range, etc. Okay, with these boards. So all of them are good. All of them are good. Tom Mock, he lives right down around here. He's not around right now. He's dealing with his kids. And so they're in college and high school. He does a lot with his kids. His son's actually a very good baseball player, Kyle Mock. Hope he makes it pro one day. He's playing for actually Troy State now. Very good baseball player. He's a really nice young man too. I've been tracking him. His dad's a good guy. Been tracking his son since he was about 14, 15, playing baseball and working out and kind of keeping an eye on that. But Tom's a real good guy and does a lot with his kids. So he's been taking a break where he can hang out with his kids more. But he actually priced and did a lot of this, and he's the one that actually wrote the Coca-Cola guidebooks as well, which came after. Some beautiful pieces, as you can see, some slight varieties. See how the varieties are there? But you can tell they're Coke bars, okay? That is Louisiana. It's not an ounce, that's like 28 grams. But still, all of them extremely nice, extremely collectible. You know, Disney Coke, certain brands are just collectible on their own, you know? And then, something I just, pretty much a full set here. Here is a lot of the nice ones, and I didn't know, but Florida. I can't find Florida. But Florida has that big Flair bottle, and I didn't know what it was called, but apparently it's called a root bottle, R-O-O-T bottle. But anyhow, Florida's up there somewhere. But take a look at Florida, it's a cool one. But there are a lot of cool bars up there. These are a lot of keys. Youngstown is about $1,000 to $1,500 bar. Clarksville, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, give or take. I do know of one that's over $3,000. Corinth is way up there. Mount Hood, I know of one that's sold for $800. But I believe that was a shill bid. I don't believe it changed hands. Those generally go about 4 to 6. One guy's been asking about 6 for a couple of years now. Can't move it. It's a little rough. This one, we don't quite know. There are a couple of varieties. Understanding that it possibly could be so rare, Amarillo, because maybe the dye broke. This one and the one that Tom Mock had a picture of, which his picture's awful, because it's the best of ever until now. This picture right here is a scan. It doesn't look like that in person. It looks pretty shiny, but it has a rounded rim. It looks like it has a lasered thing, which is worldwide mint mark and 99 silver, 1 troy ounce, looks lasered on it, it's slightly rounded. And right through here, where you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little things, on the other right, there's 12 or 13 at least. So it's a different dye variety. So don't know if that's better or worse, but it is what it is. So that might be 500, it might be 5,000, but it is a different dye variety. And so forth, so on. But very nice set, very nice bars. And everybody doesn't necessarily go for all the big ones and full sets, but there are a lot of bars here that I've collected for years that people can enjoy that aren't the expensive ones, But as far as cherry picking, you're doing very good with any of them except for the first couple, and you're still going to do okay on even those, if you cherry pick those out based on that, okay? And that's basically it. With those reverses, you can pick out a whole bunch of really, really nice bars. And when you start finding a few, that just gives you a little bit more money, a little bit more options, and more confidence in yourself to start studying more,
Do we know what the exact number of Coca-Cola 1 ounce bars are in a set?
I do not. Johnny Rocket, John Williams, Randy, Maria Flores, all my treasures from eBay. They probably would, Tom would, not count some varieties. Because one thing, and real quick, another thing, a side note on cherry picking, this is advanced cherry picking. Any Coke bar, even those $40, $50 good boards, right? Always check the rim. When you check the rims, all four, if it says PROFF on it,
OOF.
proof. PROFF?
OOF.
No, I'm just messing with you.
No, you spelled it wrong the first time.
I might have, because my spelling is not my strong suit, and I might just misspell it. But spelling is not my strong suit. But is it proof?
Yeah.
It says proof. If it says proof on it, however proof may be spelled in your language, it's an expensive bar, $500,000. Don't matter what city it is. Okay? Obviously, if it was one that was one of the expensive ones, it'd be more. But what I'm saying is on one of the
How many proofs were struck on each barn?
Hmm?
Do we know how many proofs were struck on each barn?
They think the first 10. I think the first 5 to 15. Okay, that's what Tom I think. They also own test pieces. If it does not have a serial number, they think 5 to 10 test pieces without serial numbers might be done in each drill. Those are also extremely high. And then the bootlegs that say Sterling Silver Field, also that came through Worldwide Men, that some people say are legitimate, but after all my research into Worldwide Men and what went on with the Great House, I believe those are bootlegs too. And I'd be willing to bet.
Hey, Charles.
Small percentage of my
TROO, thank you.
Because you never know, right? But I believe that those Sterling Silver Field ones of these are actually bootlegs, not price of silver got more expensive so they decided to do it. Really, it went from $2 to $3 an ounce, and they're that worried about it. They went with Sterling Plains. I don't buy that. I think they were bootlegs just like the others, right? But that's the situation with that. But yeah, they do have numbers. Basically, the different stratifications of the actual vintages, when you're looking at, and I don't know the vintage exactly, like I said, this is not really my specialty on Coke bars, but those people I just mentioned is. But basically, the Atlanta and those four I mentioned, they're up in the 20, 30, 40, 50,000, vintage range, not dollar range, vintage range. Then you drop down into a lower range. And then when you get into the vintage 1200 range, like Gadsden and Anston, some of that, that's where you get in the $130 to $220 range. When you get down to the 1200 vintage. Then when you get down to the 500, like Huntsville Coca-Cola clan, that's like vintage 900, 880 or 868 or something like that. I forgot what the vintage is. But as you get to some of them, then that's bumping up more and more, and then you get to the vintage hundreds, vintage 250s, vintage 50s. That's where you end up with this stuff, But as the vintage drops, that's where it goes. And then some of it, like Johnny said, when we were going over some of the stuff, he said, you know what? He said, like all the vintage 1200s, he said, if one like Frederick, like right here is just a bottle, and then pretty much just something like I showed you for a reverse on the other side, compared to something like that, even if it's the same vintage, the eye appeal compared to just a bottle versus the mill or some of the other fancy designs, the eye appeal does matter also when it's straight up same vintage, same everything, So you do have to take that into consideration. But yeah, there are mentions, there are in Tom Mock's book. I just, I kind of look at most in the categories of the groupings, like I was talking about earlier. The specific vintages probably matter some, but not as much after all the years, because unfortunately, a lot of these are probably melting. Just which supply and demand skews that makes it better for the collectors, but it also makes it harder. It makes it harder. But that's basically what that is with that. And then this is just the QR code to take you to the Isaac website, thesilverbugle.com. .org now, actually. .org. We're not .com anymore. We actually don't have control of that. So if you go to it, it's thesilverbugle.org now. So that is the website. International Association of Silver Art Collectors. Anybody have any questions about anything? Diane?
No.
Well, that will do it then. I think that will do it. And thank you.
Tell everybody good night.